So as a structure for this talk, I'm going to use the Kubler-Ross model of telecom evaluation. For those of you who haven't heard it before, I heard one laugh. Thank you very much. This is more commonly referred to as the 5 stages of grief. So in the beginning, Yahoo has had VoIP products, the messenger product, our acquisition of Dialpad, partnership products with British Telecom for ages. We weren't late to market on that. But the IT shop, because we're in Silicon Valley, because of who our friends are, because of the new employees coming to the company, we felt like we were late adopters on the diffusion of innovation model. And if you don't memorize ethnographic studies, this is the idea behind the diffusion of innovation. You've got magpies on the left, and they'll buy any damn shiny thing. And you've got people on the right that take a really long time to make up their mind, but if something's super useful, they will buy it eventually. And this isn't a dig on the Amish, by the way. If you do a search on Yahoo for Amish cell phone, there's a really cool article on Wired about what their technology adoption model is. It's actually a lot more nuanced than necessarily given credit for. So Yahoo at least perceives ourselves to be on the Amish side of the median with regards to voice over IP. So 2003, we acquired Overture. It brings in a lot of new client talent for us. At the same time, our CIO had worked at Octel and worked at Lucent. And he kind of put the line in the sand and said, we're behind here, guys. You need to do some IP telephony. Get out there and go do it. So we started doing IP telephony. We did some major sites, including a revenue-generating call center, which should have really worked to everyone's advantage. There were telecom features like skills-based routing. There were IP features. A call would come into a central data center, and then based on agent availability, we'd send it to Southern Oregon or Southern California. It should have really worked to everybody's advantage. And we didn't do a good job deploying it. We didn't do a good job thinking through our model. So as a result, what should have been a triumph of telephony had dropped calls. We had the Burbank site would go into survivability mode even when the WAN was healthy. A lot of angry people within IT. So the lessons that we learned, the biggest lesson that we learned here was the telecom team and the network team weren't playing nicely together. I think you're going to hear this a lot. I've certainly heard it at a lot of talks today. Somebody gave the telecom team the really, turns out, bad advice. Go treat your network team like a vendor. Treat them like you treat AT&T. So the telecom team came to the network team and said, we require 3 megabits of bandwidth from this closet in Burbank to this closet in Hillsboro. And the network team, in an act of malicious obedience, gave them exactly what they asked for. And that turned out to not have been the right decision. We backed this out. Ultimately, the right decision was we made the telecom network overlay the data network. So when the data network has a giant node in Northern California, so does the telecom network. And that layout really got us out of this stage. But it's worth mentioning that all of the people that a couple of minutes now in the story are going to make the decision that Asterisk is worth trying out were there during this time when there was no amount of money we could throw at Avaya, there was no salesman whose hand we could shake that could get us out of these dark times. It was that strength had to come from inside of us, and I think that enabled us to make some of the decisions that we're going to make a little later in the story. So we got past the technology reasons to be angry. We found a whole new reason to be angry, which was our telecom purchases started going through exactly the same process that server purchases went through, and especially laptop purchases went through. And those guys aren't fools. The hardware review committee, very sharp group of individuals, and they looked at a major project that we brought them, the division, and they said, you're asking us to spend as much putting a desk phone out as we're about to spend on laptops for these new employees. And this is Yahoo. This isn't a call center. That's not right. That didn't feel like the appropriate use of resources. So HRC knew that we had been screwing around with Asterisk. I'm sure a lot of people here, how many people have screwed around with Asterisk? Okay, a lot of hands on that. Very cool. So they knew we were screwing around with it. We showed them some technology demos. It never really went anywhere. So they negotiated with my VP, and they said, look, we're going to give you this money this time, but you need to build a friends and family model. You need to show us why we're not supporting open source here. We support open source in our production, in our products. We support Apache. We're big members of the Apache Foundation. We support MySQL. Why are you guys doing this crazy?